Now at 9, a number of homes in Fort Scott are approved for demolition. We'll tell you why they're on the chopping block.
After years of fighting inflation, the Federal Reserve just made a large cut to interest rates. I'm Rebecca Castor in Washington with what borrowers need to know coming up.
And Oklahoma pulls the plug on its free Narcan and fentanyl strip vending machines.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Freeman Health System announces its new president and chief executive officer. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Tom Keller has served as president and CEO of Ozarks Healthcare in West Plains, Missouri for more than a decade. On December 1st, Keller will take the reins at Freeman from Paula Baker, who announced her retirement earlier this year. Before joining Ozarks Healthcare in 2014, Keller served as Chief Operating Officer at St. Anthony Shawnee Hospital in Oklahoma and as CEO of West Valley Hospital and Phoenix Memorial Hospital in the Phoenix area. The Oklahoma State School Board Association held a focus group meeting tonight in search for the next superintendent of Miami Public Schools. The goal for tonight's session at the high school was to get community, staff members, and administrators together to gather vital input about the qualifications they hope to find in a candidate. Among those qualifications, someone who's involved in the community, as well as someone who keeps students their #1 focus.
We want the buy-in and the feedback from the community because ultimately this person is going to be shaping the vision for the district, and if we don't have that community and that stakeholder input, then it makes it really hard to be able to make sure that that person is leading with the vision of the community in mind.
And for those who could not attend, the district has an online community survey available on the school's website through October 4th. Demolition could start soon on a number of homes in Fort Scott after city commissioners gave their approval earlier this month. KOAM's Melissa Alexis explains the project and the reason behind it.
Some of these houses that we tear down, I wouldn't want to see anybody live in with children.
6 homes in Fort Scott were submitted to be considered for demolition. Leroy Kruger, the codes technician, says one of the reasons is they're abandoned and bring down the value of the surrounding homes.
If we see a house that's dilapidating, falling in, we send a letter to the homeowner to basically let them know that they need to bring the house up to codes.
But if the house is not brought up to codes, they will continue seeking approval to demolish the house.
It being an eyesore would make a person not want to buy a house in that neighborhood.
Behind me is one of the homes being considered for demolition. He says many of the homes on the list to be demolished are considered unsafe.
The majority of these homes are unlivable and have become flop houses or houses where drugs or other illicit activities take place within those neighborhoods. Needles have been found on the porches, drug paraphernalia scattered across the yards, broken glass.
They hope demolishing these homes will allow room for new businesses and new homes that are safe for residents to live in, as more housing is a need in the Fort Scott community. Reporting in Fort Scott, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Now, owners who oppose the demolition of their home will be given a period of time to repair the building. And if they do not, the city could opt to move forward with the demolition process. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy joining us now with a first look at weather.
Yeah, and it turned out to be a hot one for us today. Temperatures climbed into the 90s. 92 was the official high. 65 is where we started, well above that average high of 81 degrees. And we are going to stay hot as we go through the next couple days. 77 in Joplin, 74 in Pittsburgh. Most of us still sitting mainly mid to upper 70s, still near 80 once you get into our western counties. We're nice and quiet, not a whole bunch going on. A few little scattered showers out across southwestern Kansas, and as those push east, we may get a random shower in here later on tonight into tomorrow morning, mainly just a couple sprinkles kind of pushing through. Of course, we do need some rain. Then it heats up into the mid 90s for highs tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about heat and rain chances coming up here in a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, a new development in the investigation of a man found dead near Interstate 44. Authorities now have the car they had sought in the case. Someone had discovered the body in a ditch along the interstate near Joplin's Prigmore Street exit late Monday afternoon and then notified law officers. Authorities identified the man as 63-year-old Jesse Gilmore from Oklahoma. Investigators had issued a public notice that they were seeking a specific car in connection with that case and gave the car's description and Oklahoma license number. And now authorities say they have recovered that car in Independence, Missouri. They're still not giving details on the suspected cause of death or how the car might be connected to the case. A federal jury convicts a Joplin man and an Arkansas man of kidnapping a woman and holding her in a hotel room in Neosho, Missouri. The jury found both 51-year-old Freddie Tilton of Joplin and 39-year-old Alvin Boyer of Rogers, Arkansas, guilty of kidnapping and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. Authorities say Tilton beat and choked the woman in a room at the Boonslick Lodge in Neosho, rented for Tilton by Boyer. Sentencing will come at a later date. You can read more about the case on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. American Legion Post 35 in Cherokee, Kansas is looking for help honoring a prospective member who died last week. William Joseph Vilmer was on track to become a Legion member before he was killed in a vehicle accident last Wednesday. The Legion put up a monument in his honor at Pittsburgh's Atkinson Municipal Airport, but it is quickly falling apart. Now the Legion is asking for help fixing the monument in a more permanent way.
Joseph, we lost him. He was only 36 years old, but in this 36 years, he loved life. He loved his family. He loved his friends. And he had more friends that was family than friends.
If you'd like to help, you can reach out to American Legion Post 35 in Cherokee. Well, coming up, an end to Narcan vending machines in Oklahoma, plus more problems at Boeing.
A major labor strike is threatening to disrupt the U.S. economy to the tune of billions of dollars. I'm Lucas Tomlinson in Washington. I'll have the details coming up.
OSHA, the federal agency that sets and enforces standards for workplace conditions, is pulling back on its plans for new regulations on fire departments. Originally, OSHA planned to make a number of changes, including requiring fire trucks to be no more than 15 years old. But the proposal drew concerns from firefighters across the country, as well as some lawmakers concerned about the financial burden it would put on volunteer departments. OSHA now says it's re-evaluating the proposed changes. Oklahoma's Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse is pulling the plug on a potentially life-saving program. Officials say the free Narcan and fentanyl strip vending machines are being removed due to budget issues. Kathy Tatum reports.
We saved a life in our building last week using the Narcan.
Narcan from this machine, the very first of 25 installed across the state by Oklahoma's Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse just over a year ago. Monday afternoon, the department pulled it from the Tulsa Day Center.
It's a huge mistake. This saves lives.
While the vending machine is gone, Narcan and fentanyl test strips aren't.
All those homeless shelters, including the Tulsa Day Center, we are going to be leaving them with stock and continually supplying them stock to have on hand. It just won't be in a vending machine.
Money that had gone to stocking and maintaining the machines will now go towards some of the department's other 400-plus community partners to keep Narcan and fentanyl strips easily accessible. Sasha Teal says keeping the machines in service just wasn't cost efficient.
In the first year, we projected it only being about $5 million worth of cost, which means actually putting the vending machines out there, stocking them, like fixing them when they're broken. It ended up being like $14 million just in year one.
All of Oklahoma's Narcan vending machines are expected to be out of service within the next few weeks. Well, Freeman Health System today celebrated its dialysis patients. They kicked off patient engagement days for the 11th year. This year's event is themed Magical Care on the Yellow Brick Road to Health. The event is designed to empower hundreds of dialysis patients to better inform them of their healthcare options as they navigate the stress of the treatment.
Well, they have some education stations to stop at, some things to help keep them healthy. And then we have 3 transplant centers here. Our ESRD, which is end-stage renal disease network representative, is here. And then we have some home health and some different like hospice and different companies that services they might need.
The event continues tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Freeman East Hospital conference rooms. Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, how a recycling center in Southwest Missouri is giving new life to used books.
Well, of course, turned out to be a hot one outside for us today, back into lower 90s during the afternoon. But we look pretty good outside right now. Nice shot of our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam. Of course, we're looking downtown Joplin off toward the northeast through downtown. All right, temperatures heating up even more as we go through the next couple days. Plus, we are going to introduce some rain chances, which is good. Let's go into the morning hours. Maybe a spotty shower or sprinkle. Most of you are going to be dry. Few little sprinkles kind of shoot on through during the morning hours. Once we get into the afternoon, hot. I think most of us couple notches hotter than what we saw today, about 94-ish during the afternoon. Then we're going to watch more thunderstorms to our west start to develop and push in. These are going to be a little bit more widespread, but still very scattered. So most of you will stay dry, but the storms that do get going, some of those could be a little bit stronger. Pushing east through the evening hours and then kind of dying out late evening and then pretty calm as we go through the rest of the night. So let's start on Friday morning, lower 70s. Friday should be mainly dry as we heat up into the mid to upper 90s for highs. But then again, Friday night, chances for scattered thunderstorms again start to press through. Of course, we got high school football, so we'll have to keep our eyes on this. But scattered thunderstorms kind of pushing through into Saturday morning. So it's great to at least see chances for some rain pushing in. 71 start, 87 by noon. High temp on your Thursday of 94 degrees. Plus our heat index, the way it feels to your skin, it's going to be up there. It's going to feel like upper 90s on the Missouri side to lower triple digits once you get out across southeastern Kansas. Also a little breezy, south winds 15 upwards to about 20 miles per hour. So at least we got a little bit of a breeze out there. All right, let's go outside. 77 in Carthage, Anderson, 79 Miami, still 81 in Chanute. Here's 7th. Here's Rangeline sitting at 77. South winds are light, but of course those will start to pick up just a bit. Pretty much clear skies. Not a whole bunch is going on here. We've been watching a few little scattered showers to the southwest of Wichita. Besides that, not a whole bunch going on due to our big dome of high pressure that is in charge. Now we're watching out toward the west. This wave will finally break down that area of high pressure, give us cooler weather, but also give us those chances for rain. High pressure stays pretty strong as we go through the next several days. We're going to be tracking that system kicking out into the Central Plains, giving us better chances for showers and thunderstorms as we head into the weekend. Let's go 94 Thursday, 97 on Friday, 93 on Saturday, 85 Sunday with those chances for thunderstorms, 78 on Monday, looking pretty good. Back to 83 Tuesday, 88 on Wednesday, heating back up the second half of next week.
Could we just have another cool weekend? I mean, 90 degrees, almost 100 degrees.
It's going to be a little bit hot. The past few weekends have been up there a little bit.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, the Neosho Recycling Center is doing more than just breaking down material to be used again. KOAM's Anthony Saviello shows us how they're also using their facility as a library.
Plastic, aluminum, and books. All of them can be found at the Neosho Recycle Center. In fact, so many books come through the center that Diana Howell decided to do something about it.
We'd have customers come in and they would basically dig through the collection box of books. And once somebody brought in some good books that I knew somebody could be reading, I just collected them and set them on the desk.
Eventually, the book display got a little bit bigger.
Somebody offered me a bookcase, another customer offered me a bookcase, and now we have quite a little library going on here.
The center has processed over 650 tons of material this year, but Diana is doing her best to make sure as few books as possible contribute to that number. However, you could say that the books are, in essence, still being recycled.
Yes, it is. It's recycling. We accept any kind of paper product. Lots of people are bringing me books now, hoping that I can find a new home for them.
Some people don't even come to the center to recycle.
Some customers come in just to see if I've got any good books. So it makes me feel good that instead of being destroyed, they are being repurposed. People are reading them again.
Of course, it also provides a chance for Diana to nab a few books herself.
Our family has 4 copies of one specific book. One of them signed, but one came in about a couple of weeks ago. And I said, I don't think we have enough copies of that book. So, yeah, I took that one home.
This library may be small, but Diana says the meaning and purpose behind it serves a much bigger purpose.
We want to give back to the community, and if it's just a book that somebody has spare time to read, I can never keep enough Westerns on the shelf. But it's very satisfying, very fulfilling to do that for people.
In Neosho, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
If you'd like to find your next reading material, the center is open every weekday except for Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then on Saturdays from 8 to 2. You can also follow the center on Facebook, where they will post items that are available for reuse before they get recycled. Coming up, write-in candidates.
With the November election fast approaching, voters may have more options than just the candidates listed on their ballots. I speak with local election officials about what voters need to know about write-in candidates. I'm Samantha Walker, and I'll have that story coming up.
A potential labor strike is threatening to cost the economy billions of dollars. It comes as thousands of Boeing workers remain off the job. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has the latest.
As early voting gets underway in some states, 2 major labor strikes are threatening to disrupt the economy. Boeing and its largest union returned to the negotiating table Wednesday after tens of thousands of machinists hit the picket lines. The strike has delayed deliveries of Boeing's best-selling jets to airlines, and the company has announced this week it's considering temporary furloughs to cut costs.
10 years of stagnant wages, 10 years of compromised pension, 10 years of health insurance increases, and then enough is enough.
But the biggest economic impact may come from a potential strike at East Coast and Gulf ports that could see up to 45,000 dock workers walk off the job next month. Yesterday, the White House had this to say.
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. I'm not going to get hypotheticals from here.
These ports usually handle half of all U.S. imports. And with the holiday shopping season coming up, the National Retail Federation is asking President Biden to get involved. Still, administration officials tell Fox Business the president does not plan to invoke a federal law that would prevent the strike, adding, quote, "We support collective bargaining and believe it's the best way for American workers and employers to come to an agreement. That's why we encourage all parties to remain at the bargaining table and negotiate in good faith." Experts estimate this potential port strike could cost about $5 billion per day. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
In a new lawsuit, the Justice Department says the fatal Baltimore bridge collapse last March was entirely avoidable. Nearly 6 months after the container ship Dolly hit Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, the Justice Department filed a $100 million lawsuit against the vessel's owner and manager. The lawsuit alleges the Singapore-based companies were aware of electrical and mechanical issues on board the ship before it lost power in March and crashed into the bridge's support column. 6 workers were killed when part of the structure fell into the water. Southeast Kansas teens get a glimpse into possible future careers at a fair in Arma this morning. Students from all over Southeast Kansas got the chance to discover future opportunities this morning at the Northeast High School's College Career Fair. Hundreds of 7th through 12th grade students attended the fair. Local businesses and vendors were available for students to meet with as they explore future avenues to success.
How we got to know about the stuff so we can do them and what we know about it when we grow up.
Talking to the staff, they're really nice.
I like learning about what we're going to learn about and what we could go into.
The fair offered several breakout sessions, and I had the honor to speak about my life as a television journalist during one of them. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. November's election day is nearing, and not happy with the candidates on the ballot? Some states allow for write-in options, but there are rules, what you need to know. Plus, lawmakers want more to be done to protect former President Trump following a second alleged attempt on his life.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. With the November election less than 2 months away, voters across the 4 states are looking at who the candidates are. But voters are not necessarily limited to just who's listed on the ballot. KOAM's Samantha Walker spoke with election officials to find out what voters need to know about write-in candidates.
During election season, you might see on ballots the option to write in a candidate for an elected position, whether it be local, state, or national. A write-in candidate is someone voters can put down whose name does not appear on a printed ballot.
Maybe they didn't know they wanted to run prior to the original deadline to get onto the ballot. Or maybe someone could also decide they want to continue. They might have lost at a primary and they want to continue running and try again at the general.
Now, rules for write-in candidates can change between states, such as in Kansas. Candidates wanting to be able to be written in as candidates on the ballot need to pre-register with their county or the state. That same sort of filing is required for write-in candidates in Missouri, as well as 31 other states. If someone does not file as a write-in candidate ahead of the election, any votes for them will not count.
It doesn't matter how many votes they get. Even if they win, they would still not receive that victory, that office. So Donald Duck usually doesn't count. Minnie Mouse doesn't count. We have very creative voters sometimes that put those things in. But they might write in a name that hasn't certified, and that would be probably disappointing to them if they didn't understand how that actually worked.
For voters who wish to vote for a write-in candidate, ballots will have a space provided, when applicable, for you to put a name.
Make sure to fill in the oval so that the machine, the counter, can read that and throw it into a different spot for the teams to separate that so the write-ins could be counted at night.
I'm Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Now, 9 states do not allow write-in candidates, and those include Oklahoma and Arkansas. You can find more election resources on our website at koamnewsnow.com/elections. Well, it's full steam ahead for Donald Trump and Kamala Harris on the campaign trail just days after a gunman was ready to take a shot at the former president. That was the second assassination attempt on the Republican presidential nominee in 2 months. Lawmakers agree something needs to be done.
I called and demanded that President Trump receive the same level of protection that the sitting president does because he is under such great threat. They say they're going to be cooperative, but they also say there's a manpower issue.
After Trump was shot during a rally in Pennsylvania, the Biden administration asked Congress to boost Secret Service funding in August. There's a chance lawmakers might do that as they try to pass a short-term spending bill this week. But they also need to avoid a government shutdown. What's the news many have been waiting for? Interest rates are finally coming down for the first time in 4 years. The Federal Reserve made the announcement today, cutting interest rates by a whopping 0.5 percentage point. This aggressive move is intended to prevent a recession and signals the central bank is happy with how inflation is coming down. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor explains.
Borrowing money for a car, home, or on a credit card will get a little cheaper, thanks to the Federal Reserve slashing interest rates for the first time since 2020. Policymakers trimmed the rate by 50 basis points, bringing the range to 4.75 to 5%.
Our patient approach over the past year has paid dividends. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, and we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%.
The White House applauded the move for bringing some relief to borrowers.
It's a moment of progress. I think that's how we see this. And also a recognition of how far we have come.
Most economists support the rate cut and wish the Federal Reserve would have done this months ago. But some warn it's not going to fix everything.
The solution to our problems is to cut tax rates, not interest rates, and to do something about this massive government spending and debt.
Former President Trump wanted the Federal Reserve to wait until after the November election to cut rates. The economy, after all, is the #1 issue for voters, and the central bank is supposed to be apolitical.
They have a meeting in November, just days after the election. They could have done a big one then, and no one could have accused them of playing politics.
I don't believe, like I said, the average American is going to see a difference at the gas pump or in the grocery store.
The Fed's forecast also calls for another half-point cut to interest rates by the end of the year. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
A little bit later, Civics 101.
Could you pass a citizenship test? I'm Marianne Rafferty with a look at the growing calls for college students to learn about civics. That's all straight ahead.
He's switching.
Works a little bit better. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, so outside for us today, of course, it was hot across the region. I think I got a working mic now, but temperatures, they went into lower 90s, and we are going to stay fairly hot as we go through the next couple days, as we go into the 90s for afternoon highs. By morning, we could see a random shower or two that presses through the region. Most of you are going to end up staying dry, and then we go into the mid-90s as we go into the afternoon hours. A few little thunderstorms will try to develop southeastern Kansas into northeastern parts of Oklahoma once we get through tomorrow evening, and a few of these guys could be a little bit stronger, so we'll have to keep our eyes on those, but they're going to be very hit and miss, so not everybody's going to get rain. It's going to be just scattered, not widespread across the region. As we go into Friday, heating back up, temperatures are going to be all the way up into the mid to upper 90s for afternoon highs, and then again Friday night we'll have chances to get some scattered thunderstorms rolling through. So good news here is at least we have chances as we go through the next 4 days or so. 71 start, 87 by noon. High temp 94 degrees plus. Our heat index is going to be up there. It's going to feel like it's into the upper 90s, into the lower triple digits once you get into our western counties. Also, a little breezy. We're going to have those south winds at about 10 to 15, upwards to about 20 miles per hour. Temperatures, right now we're sitting upper 70s to lower 80s across the region. There's not a whole bunch going on here. We are tracking a couple little showers out to the southwest of Wichita, but we've been kind of dominated by a big dome of high pressure. We're watching storm systems out to our west. We're going to watch this guy out towards San Francisco as it tracks out toward us slowly over the next few days. Still high pressure is in charge, but as that gets a little bit closer to us, our chances for rain will start to increase just a little bit, which of course we greatly need. We need the rain across the region. 94 on Thursday. Let's go 97 on Friday. 93 Saturday. 85 with a few scattered showers, maybe a pop-up thunderstorm on Sunday. But we cool down quite a bit, so by Monday, high temp of only 78 degrees, so it's going to feel much nicer early next week.
Hot all week until Monday.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up in sports, the Royals close out their series against the Tigers. Plus, the Chiefs welcome back a familiar face at running back. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
As the Chiefs prepare for their Week 3 battle with the Falcons, they move running back Isaiah Pacheco to the injured reserve, and that leads them to signing Kareem Hunt to the practice squad. Now, you might remember Hunt was a 1,000-yard rusher for the Chiefs as their primary tailback in his rookie season back in 2017. He was released abruptly in November of 2018 after a video surfaced of him pushing a woman to the ground and kicking her in a hotel hallway. Hunt has spent the last 5 seasons with the Cleveland Browns.
Obviously, Kareem was a close friend of mine while he was here. Just being in the same draft class, everything like that. He came to my wedding. But obviously, he went to Cleveland, has had a good career there, has learned and become a better person, and I'm glad to have him back now. And let's get him accustomed to the offense and see how fast we can get him out there.
Publicly, just thought he needed a change of scenery and get some help and take care of business there. And, we felt like he did that. He did a nice job in Cleveland. And we talked to the people there, and there were no issues there.
College basketball season not too far down the road. This morning, Kansas and Arkansas men's basketball announced the date of their 2024 preseason exhibition. The Jayhawks will travel to Fayetteville on Friday, October 25th. That'll be the first look for a lot of Razorbacks fans at their new head coach, John Calipari, who left Kentucky for Arkansas this April. KU, of course, led by Bill Self in his 22nd season in Lawrence. Over to Major League Baseball, the Royals have just 12 games remaining in the regular season entering today. ESPN's playoff predictor gives them a 93% chance of making the postseason. A win tonight would greatly increase those odds. Kansas City playing its third and final game of the series against the Tigers, but they lose 4-2 and get swept by Detroit. The Royals have now lost 4 in a row with just 11 games remaining in the regular season, and this result takes on extra importance because of the current state of the AL wildcard race. Here's how things currently sit in the American League wildcard. The top 3 teams all make the postseason. Royals have the number 2 spot. They lose tonight, but so do the Twins, which means the Royals still have a 1.5 game lead on them. But the Tigers, fresh off sweeping Kansas City, are just a half game behind Minnesota. In the National League, Cardinals win 10-5 over the Pirates. They've won over their division rival 3 times this week. They go for the sweep tomorrow night. Michael McGreevy gets the win for the Redbirds, throwing 3 shutout innings out of the bullpen. And I think a lot of Royals fans are kind of panicking right now, but they still do have that 1.5 game lead. 11 games left, so they have a little bit of time to finish strong, but they do need to turn things around.
And it's definitely some interesting changes that the Chiefs are making too.
Yeah, definitely. He's just on the practice squad right now, but we'll see. Andy Reid said there is a chance that Kareem Hunt could play this Sunday.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
People will be watching. Yes. All right, we're back with more news after this. Civics is the study of the rights and responsibilities of citizens in society. So when it comes to the government of the United States and how Americans can play their role, how much do you think you really know? As Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty shows us, a recent survey reveals some results that may shock you.
As the countdown to the presidential election ticks louder, a growing number of educators are calling for more college students of voting age to learn about how the government functions and their roles as citizens.
They have no idea how many senators there are in the United States, how many House members there are.
Kevin Dopp, political science professor at the University of South Carolina, Beaufort, likes to start the first day of his American National Government class by having his students take a citizenship test.
It was definitely harder than I thought it was going to be.
The results this year were underwhelming.
We have 30 students in the class, and 21 of you will have to leave because you're not eligible to be citizens of the United States. I'm just kidding.
While most states require civics lessons at the high school level, a recent survey from the Annenberg Public Policy Center reveals less than half of Americans can name most First Amendment rights, and less than 2/3 can recall all 3 branches of government.
Because we're a country not based on ethnicity or races, based on certain principles, what that requires is that people have to know those principles. You learn how to be an American.
And at a time when the political atmosphere can seem tense, civics advocates hope teaching people about their rights can help connect instead of divide.
What's more unifying than the founding principles of this country?
Voting is another vital part of American civic duties, but with the deadline to register quickly approaching in many states, advocates say you don't want to miss out. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
We take a first look at Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, Woman of the Hour. That and more coming up in Hollywood Nation. Anna Kendrick shares a first look at her directorial debut, and Ryan Murphy finds his next monster. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the latest in the Hollywood nation.
Murphy uncovers secrets, Kendrick faces a dating nightmare, and Hunnam lands a monster role in the Hollywood nation.
Oh my God.
Charlie Hunnam will be Ryan Murphy's next monster. The Sons of Anarchy star will play serial killer Ed Gein in Season 3 of the Netflix true crime anthology series. Murphy made the announcement during the Los Angeles premiere of the show's second season, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, which starts streaming Thursday.
You told me your number?
Anna Kendrick teases her directorial feature in today's First Looks. Kendrick got behind the camera and stars in the true crime thriller Woman of the Hour. Set in 1970s Los Angeles, the film tells the story of an aspiring actress who met a serial killer on the popular show The Dating Game. The film premieres on Netflix October 18th.
Slow to anger and rich in mercy.
Lionsgate dropped the trailer for Small Things Like These, starring Cillian Murphy. The Oscar winner produced and stars in the drama, playing a coal delivery driver and devoted father in 1980s Ireland, who discovers disturbing secrets kept by the local convent. The story, based on the best-selling novel of the same name, opens in theaters November 8th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Well, that's our time for tonight, but before we leave, I would like to say goodbye to an amazing coworker and friend. There he is in the control room, Peyton Holloway. Peyton has been, for over half a decade, our 5 and 9 o'clock producer here at KOAM and Fox 14. He's a wonderful writer and just downright awesome at his job, and we are definitely going to miss you, Peyton. I want to wish you the best in the future. We're going to leave you with video of a rare mountain bongo calf at the UK's Chester Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.